Okay, well, it's 9 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started here. Before we jump into the discussion, I have a few housekeeping procedures to go over. Firstly, this is going to be very much a discussion today. We encourage questions. However, when you're not speaking, please remain on mute so there isn't any background noise while Mike is speaking. Secondly, since it is a discussion, sometimes it is nice to see your face when folks are talking, but the camera is 100% optional. There is there's one button I'd like you all to avoid hitting. It's at the bottom of your screen. It's a rectangle with an up arrow. Please do not click that, as that will share your screen and interrupt the presentation. If anyone has dialed in today via telephone, please send me an email at mfrey@pgahq.com, and we'll make sure you get your PDR credits for this morning. And finally, we are recording this session. It should be up on our YouTube channel later this week, should you need to refer back to it or share it with any of your coworkers that weren't able to join this morning. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Brian Soule for the introductions.
Great. Thank you so much, Matt, and welcome everybody. We're excited for this morning. Real quick, Tim, I think your microphone might still be on if you can just hit that mute button. Mike Gardner is with us today. I knew Mike and know Mike because he's a graduate of the Penn State PGA Golf Management Program. He's a Pennsylvania native. And when I was kind of asking around with colleagues and friends about a great option for our next speaker in this series, one of the first answers that came out of the mouth of our PGM program directors was Mike Gardner. And a lot of that has to do with Mike's unique situation at the Bridgewater Club in Carmel, Indiana, a very family-friendly and family-oriented club. So Mike, we're so excited to have you here today, and excited to learn from you, and excited to kind of focus on the family and what you've done to grow that culture at your club. And since Mike is presenting, he's got the PowerPoint on his screen. I'll monitor the chat, so if you have any questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat, and I'll interrupt Mike and throw those questions out there. But Mike, thanks again for being here, and we'll let you take it over.
Hi, well, good morning, everybody. Thank you again for allowing me to spend a little bit of time with all of you. I'm not a professional presenter. I'm just like all of you in that, running or operating a club. But hopefully today, some of the things that are presented here and discussed, maybe kindle some ideas or that you can take back to your club and maybe implement in the next year or so. So let's jump into it. So today, kind of quick background on me and the club, and then you really want to jump into just kind of showing some imagery and discussing, some events and things that we've done in all areas of the club. We're going to talk a little about the marketing and communication that we've done at the club, and then of course employee engagement. And then, hey, in the end, what does it mean for all of our facilities? And then hopefully we get some nice open discussion. So quick background for those who maybe didn't come on the call, 9, I did grow up in Westchester, Pennsylvania. I spent all my summers caddying, working. Yes, I did work at my club that I was a member at, which I'm sure most of us don't allow anymore. But played and worked at a place called Radley Run Country Club. Went to Penn State, as Brian said, was in the Recreation Park Management program and a minor in business and emphasis in professional golf management. And I've been a GM, COO for about 27 years. A lot of my time was spent in the Carolinas, Wake Forest Golf Club, the Crossings, River Run, and then also in Florida, in Orlando, a place called Tuscaloosa. In the last 12 years, I've been the co-owner operator of a place called the Bridgewater Club in Carmel, Indiana, which is just outside of Indianapolis. So again, been a PGA member for 27 years, been a certified club manager for 16 years. And Done a lot of volunteer work in the CMA. A lot of actually, more of my focus has been with the CMA because of my role as a GM. With membership chair, regional chair, and multiple chapters and whatnot. And of course, when I'm not at the club, love spending time with my wife, Sandy, who's also a Penn State alum, 25 years, and she's a teacher at Carmel High School, which happens to be, by the way, I think the second largest high school in the country with 5,200 kids. And then we have 2 children. Our daughter is 19, and she's at IU, and our son is 15. So anyway, the club. So what is the club all about? Well, it was definitely not on my radar when I kind of discovered it, so to speak, and I got to know the family who founded the club. And here we are in Central Indiana. Who would have thought that there was this really massive private resort? It's 22 years old now, so it's a relatively new club. It's in a community. We have about 850 homes. All those homes are deed restricted, so they, when they buy a home here, they automatically become a member. But we also have about almost 40% of our memberships are actually non-resident. So they don't live in the community. They pay a premium to join the club. But again, kind of our mainstay is that we're like a private resort in your backyard. We're the largest private club in the state of Indiana. We have almost 1,400 memberships. About a 90,000 square foot clubhouse with dining, and you can see some pictures here. Actually, Brian, can you see my pointer, by the way?
Yes, we can. Yep.
Okay,
good.
Good, great. So 90,000 square foot clubhouse, we've got a bar, nice fun bar, a 36-seat bar, big fitness center, ballroom, all the traditional facilities, outdoor spaces, fire pits, indoor pool, outdoor pool. Built 6 pickleball courts. Never would have thought as a PGA member I would be building pickleball courts, but last year I managed that project and built those. We have childcare on site, summer camps, which we'll get into a little bit more. Golf-wise, we've got a Pete Dye Design Championship golf course. For those who maybe don't know, Pete Dye lived in Indiana, Cricket Stick, which is in the same town that we are in Carmel. We've got also a 9-hole executive course, which has 8 par 3s and 1 par 4. Double-sided driving range. You can see on the backside here. You can see the overhead imagery here. 6-acre short game area. 12 heated hitting stalls, which although even today at 11 degrees, even they're not being used. But we do have the indoor space. We have 2 indoor TrackMans in a space that we call the Grove, which also has an indoor putting green. And then we actually have a third pop-up unit that we use where we actually have a structure. We take our snack bar and put a third one in there. A lot of extensive player development programs, tournaments, activities, both men, women, and juniors. So here's a little background on the club.
Gardner, the Chief Operating Officer and General Manager of the Bridgewater Club. The Bridgewater Club is a private club that offers an array of different amenities, from a Pete Dye Design golf course, 90,000 square foot clubhouse, outdoor pool, dining, social activities, social events, and in the middle of a beautiful community of about 850 homes. The first impression is obviously it's an amazing facility, whether it be the clubhouse, the grounds. Once you really come into the facility, you see that it's a comfortable environment. It's inviting, it's bright, enjoyable. Zinc Bar definitely has changed the social aspect of the club. It is now the hub of socialization for everybody to enjoy. Everything we do at the Bridgewater Club ties back to our commitment to the member experience. The Bridgewater Club is for grandparents, for young families, for those who are just starting a family or thinking about starting a family. The Bridgewater Club is the largest private club in the state of Indiana. Really robust programs, children, families, and really everybody in between. That's what makes the Bridgewater Club really unique. You really can spend an entire day at the Bridgewater Club and enjoy so many different services, so many different facilities, and everybody gets to enjoy it. And they offer it right in your backyard under one roof. Mike Gardner, the Chief.
Okay, so again, I know we're obviously talking to a lot of different individuals, I'm sure, from different types of facilities. But in the end, all of us can probably look at additional ways to engage the family. And so again, this is hopefully a little bit of a overview of some of the things that we do. So obviously the first and foremost is we lean really hard into the holiday events. You can see here, we'll start out with the big event, which is our 4th of July event. We've got bounce houses, we've got skydivers that come in, we've got the traditional balloon toss down here. We get about 1,300 individuals that'll come to this event. Fun parade. Actually, we do cart decorating. We've got a lot of private carts in our community, as you can imagine. So we'll give a little overview here. Breakfast with Santa, again, same concept, which I'm sure a lot of the bigger clubs may do, but even so, my smaller clubs, we would again lean really hard into these holiday events, and they really, we get to the end of the financial reward. In the end, these events directly don't make us a lot of money. Our goal with labor and everything is to break even, but they just create those lifelong memories and connection to the club that really helps everybody make those decisions to write the check for the dues. Things like shrimp boil, fun events, again, family oriented. Easter, bunny hop, again, crafts and games, same concept, but here we'll give a little summary video. On Halloween, same thing. It used to be just a little dinner. Kids get decorated. They got dressed up. But then again, same thing. We found the value of having that as a bigger event, and trick or treating, and we did a big dance party and pumpkin decorating and face painting and all kinds of stuff. And now it's a 350 person event on the middle of the week in October. All right, other things, fitness and family events. Fun things like this. The last day the pool was open this year, we keep our pool open until the end of October. We had the potty. And so we had basically anybody who's had a dog, they can bring the dogs out. It became a great family event for the kids to be in there with their dogs. We have run and fun walk events. So again, around Halloween, everybody got dressed up. We've got a 3.5 mile trail around the community. We use the outdoor spaces for yoga, and this is the driving range. Again, obviously coordinating with our director of grounds and of course director of golf to make sure the timing is everything works out well. We do in the spring, tune your bike up. We got a local bike shop to come in. Didn't cost us anything, and we probably had 100 people come to get their bikes tuned. They pay the vendor directly. But again, another way to get them to the club. And then we had a kids try and try. And so we had a triathlon. And it was this little mini way of, run, bike, and then swimming in our pool afterwards. Again, just creative, fun events. They don't just happen. Obviously, you need a team to be able to pull these things off. But again, they're low cost. They're low cost, and they are great member engagement opportunities. Racket sports, we have 6 tennis courts and 6 pickleball courts. But I mean, like anything, like no different than golf, you got to have beverages. So get the beverages involved. And then the other key is get the dependents involved. We let them play in our tournaments. We have family-specific events also for the younger kids to play with their parents. But again, getting the whole household involved is important. Obviously, we have junior camps, but we also have a junior tennis team, kind of the same playbook as golf and junior league. And then we also do open member leagues. Again, we have a junior. One of those open member leagues is a junior league. We use Sign Up Genius for them to sign up on their own. Golf, actually, I mean, again, because this is all golf pros, and so we do all the traditional events. Ladies member guest, club championship, all kinds of fun events. Obviously, junior golf. We've got junior league and whatnot. So, to the next slide here. Junior league. We do tiny tots all winter long, and also in the spring and summer. So we basically year round, we're using the indoor spaces as much as possible to keep that next generation playing. We have multiple teams for junior league. These are all in-house teams. We also have a middle school team. We're the only facility to have a middle school team. So we play against other middle schools in the area. No other club has that, and it's all members. It's all members that are playing in those middle school teams, on that middle school team. Food and beverage. We do a kids eat free night. Again, really successful. Again, another way to get people out. It's a little bit of a loss leader, but it's not much because obviously the parents are coming in, they're having a beverage, they're hanging out and whatnot. Also, we do themed dining. It's another reason, Italian night and those kind of things. We do a family-friendly dining, area that is designated for family-friendly all the time. And the other key is we do casual dress code. We're very fortunate here versus other clubs that I've been at that are a little more traditional, where they're fighting, are we allowing jeans or no jeans? We're very fortunate we got involved here that was already kind of established, that it was a little more of a casual club. We leaned even harder into that. We allow hats if you come in after playing golf, you can keep your hat on. Shirts are untucked, that's fine. I mean, so the kids really have responded well, and the families have liked that because they can use the club for more than just that special dining event. Youth activities, again, this is a whole litany of, the food and beverage team. We have our fitness team that gets involved. We have a youth activities director. Fishing derby, again, same thing. This is on the driving range here. It's twice a year. And this one actually, the main one is on Father's Day weekend. Girl Spa Day, again, it's another way to get kids out here and families out here. We'll probably have about 40 or 50 girls for that. Safe Sitter, we bring another vendor in for that, and they do Safe Sitter certification for our kids. And of course, Valentine's Day. And this is the old idea where we take care of the kids so the parents can come in and eat dinner. And again, that same concept can really be expanded for golf, for fitness, for racket sports, for food and beverage. And the idea is you take care of the kids while the adults go and play. Summer camp, we get like 60 to 80 kids a week for that. Each week is themed, Ninja Day. We have Wacky Science. Of course, we integrate golf and pickleball and all those kind of activities into it. And so then, how does it all come together? Well, key is obviously marketing. And, you can see right there from some of the flyers and some of the slides and some of the activities and pictures, communication is obviously of paramount importance. And so we have a weekly newsletter, which is not a print. It's sent out via email. Obviously marketing and branding is key to have, we have one event and you carry that marketing style for the entire event. We have club posters in-house, standalone emails, app notifications. We use North Star, and we do push notifications, and of course, social media. Cross marketing is a key element. As far as you'll see, like our golf pro, Rick Witt, you'll see in a couple of minutes here, some things that he's doing where, again, our golf pro is promoting our shrimp boil So we do kind of do that. And then also when we're, promoting a food and beverage event, we also promote golf events. And then, we do have a marketing calendar. We spend a lot of time in the off season, making sure that that calendar is laid out. So then when we get into season, it's just full execution time. We're putting the events out there 5 to 6 weeks in advance. Social media is 4 to 5 weeks in advance. And then of course we have our standalone emails that go out. But the balance is like anything, even with all the marketing plans we have, all the communication tools we have, we still get members that say that I didn't know about that event. That's obviously one of the most frustrating things we can have. But I'll say between text messaging, which has been a huge help for the golf pros, because, let's be honest. Guys, love these. I'm not saying that women don't. That's not the right way of saying it, but it's really helped with the guys' events to help our participation because of having the phones through text messaging. So, here's some examples. We've got a reader board. It's a digital reader board when you first walk in the club. We have another one that's in the clubhouse. We've got the old traditional print ideas that we put up throughout the clubhouse, TVs in the fitness center, by the coffee station, just continue to promote some of the upcoming events. Here's some examples of just kind of branding and marketing. And then again, these are carried through from year to year, but usually about every 2 to 3 years, we're significantly changing the look and the feel. Okay. Understanding the demographics is a huge element. You got to know who your target audience is. And with our club with 1,400 memberships, we really have everybody at every walk of life, from 20-year-old members, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old members. So obviously we've got to make sure that we're using all the medians to hit those individuals. But I will say that across the board, emails are still the #1 way to reach our members. Social media is #2. Social media used to be #5, and it is now in the last few years moved up to #2. So, focusing on that with Instagram, definitely targets the younger demographic. Facebook, targets the slightly older demographic, which I guess that's me now. And then, of course, email and communication, we said standalone emails for new events are really important. And then the weekly newsletter, which targets the entire audience. And then, we still go print. We still do print for in-house, like we said. It's important that we still have those posters up there, even though they don't directly say that that's important to them. They watch it, they look at it, they walk in the Zinc Bar, and they see what the upcoming events are. Other fun events, movie night at the pool. We did a big Eclipse event, which was off the charts here, how busy that was in this past summer, this past spring. We do a junior open house in the fitness center. We've also do that for golf. And then, like social media. And if anybody wants to subscribe to Rick's Words of Wisdoms, they're kind of cheesy. I'll be very frank, but the members love them. And I love that Rick puts himself out there, for years and years. And him and I have worked together for this is the start of our 12th season together. And, Gren, he was all against, no, I don't want to do videos. I don't want to do videos. No. And in the end, he has just embraced this whole Rick's Words of Wisdom. His last name is Witt. And so let me give you some fun ideas, and here's some opportunities where he jumps into other areas, not just golf. Like for this example here.
Rick's Words of Wisdom. Hey, you caught me out here. I'm at the fire pit. And guess what? Next Saturday, 6 o'clock, we've got our end of summer wonderful family party. It's called the Shrimp Boil. Coming out, live music.
Oops. Sorry about that.
We've got peel and eat shrimp. Got that corn on the cob. And get the whole family out here, because you know what? You can sit around here by the fire pit. It's going to be right here into our tent. And so, you know what? Come on over. I'm going to sit down, and guess what? Don't forget, get signed up for the Shrimp Boil. It's going to be a fantastic end of summer party. Look forward to seeing you around the club. Thank you.
Oh, well, and this is a fun little video from our Halloween event. Our Christmas event.
You know you're the mastermind. Run, Rudolph. Randolph ain't too far behind. Run, Rudolph. Santa's gotta make it to town. Santa making Harry tell him he can take the freeway down. Run, Rudolph, I'm reeling like a merry-go-round. Said Santa to a boy child, what have you been longing for? All I want for Christmas is a rock and roll electric guitar. And then away went Rudolph, whizzing like a shooting star.
Hello, Bridgewater.
Hi. So obviously it's about having fun. It's an entire team process. The entire team gets behind it because in the end, what matters most is the membership has a great time. We have a great time. When we have a great time, they have a great time. They have a great time. We have a great time. So obviously it's a great relationship and partnership. You know, so obviously engaging the employees, this is kind of a little sidebar. Without the team, all those events, all those activities, all these fun things, they don't happen, right? And so we do spend a lot of time focusing on our teams and make it possible. You know, we have quarterly awards, which we recognize 4 individuals each quarter. Of course, we do a year-end recognition. We do 4 parties a year, pool party. We have a tailgate party in the wintertime. You know, we have what used to be called the Bridgewater Bucks program, which is now a reward program that we're using Paylocity to, you know, we see somebody doing a great job, we recognize them. We also are very fortunate. We have, you know, a nice strong team here as far as an event coordinator, which helps pull some of these events off, youth activities manager, which helps obviously with the summer camp with 60 to 80 kids a week, and then communication director, because I certainly didn't create all these fun videos. But that individual, she's super creative, did. So you can see some fun things we do here throughout the club and, you know, with our employees. Now, what does this all mean? Obviously, you know, for us, we are a for-profit operation. So we're not member owned. As I said before, Greg Throgmorton and myself are the co-owners of the club. And yes, you know, we're in this to get a return. And so that's not what we lead with. We don't lead with that, though. This is obviously why this is the last slide, because if we do all the right things, we take care of our members, we put them first. In the end, you know, we will be rewarded financially. The club gets rewarded. The number one thing for us, because we're a private club, is membership initiation fees and dues. You know, if the entire household is happy, that decision to write the check for dues becomes way easier. And so, you know, what used to be kind of the one-dimensional, one person making the decision in the household, that's been 20, 30 years in the past. Of course, you have still a few households like that, but not very many of those anymore. So the key is by doing all these, you get the entire household involved. It's not just one spouse making the decision. Now, unless you're at a golf-only club, engaging that entire family, again, makes the club more desirable. Because let's be honest, I mean, you know, it takes a lot of time to play golf, and if we become very golf centric as a club, then again, that individual may not make the decision, or that family may not make the decision to continue to write those dues. So again, it's all about adding more value to the membership, and the key is you want members engaged. You know, we do men's winter meeting and spring meeting. We do the eclipse and all these things to get members out here. Tonight we've got a thing that was called Club Cash Drawing, where we put $1,000 in the pot, and members there and their name is drawn. They win the money in club credit. Again, all just excuses for members to come out and be engaged with their club. Now, that's obviously the biggest, the initiation fees and the dues, but then there's obviously incremental income. I mentioned that, some of the big holiday events, our goal is to break even, but some of the smaller events, some of the smaller activities, whether it be Tiny Tots or whether it be, the summer camps, I mean, they make money, they have a return, which is nice. So that's incremental income. And then obviously, things like, having the leagues for the indoor sims creates foot traffic. So now people are buying food and beverage. Now they're buying merchandise because they're in the golf shop now, when they normally wouldn't have come in for probably 4 months here. And of course, obviously lesson and clinic income. Our pros are teaching year round now because members know they've got a resource and the tool to utilize, keep a golf club in their hand in the wintertime. So, obviously there's a lot here. I was trying to keep it to about 25, 30 minutes and hope that, we leave enough time here for open discussion, because in the end, I got these ideas from all the discussions and all the networking and all the things that I've attended. And really, I find the most value in just discussing it with other golf pros and other GMs and professionals in the industry. So hopefully that kind of jarred some ideas and memories and or questions, and kind of go from there.
Thank you so much, Mike. Yeah, if you want to stop sharing screen, then we can start seeing some faces. And folks, feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions. I'll lead off, and I think my question is more about folks who don't have like the predetermined like facilities, right? Like your club was built with the facilities in mind to facilitate this type of a climate and an atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you have any advice for folks who are at clubs that don't necessarily have the fitness facilities that you have, the event spaces that you have, the event, manager office that you have. How can they start to integrate some of these ideas into their everyday, family club culture?
Well, I think it's a fair point, and I definitely respect that. And what I would say is, I've been in facilities that didn't have as robust of facilities as we have. And so the premise still remains the same of member engagement, of getting your client involved, of getting the family involved. That's kind of the overarching philosophy. Now, whether you do that on a grand scale with 1,300 people for a big event, or whether you do it by, just doing a, hand your club in kind of thing, or repurposing of a golf club, turn-in day kind of thing. Anything you do to get people to your facility, doesn't need you have to pay for anything, doesn't need to have great facilities. Just be creative, be creative and think of ways of just member engagement or client engagement. And there's so many different ways to do that without facilities. Like I said, the bike tune-up is a great idea. Again, it doesn't cost anything. I called a vendor. They're like, yeah, I would love to have access to come into your facility and see your members and meet them. And, again, there's probably a million different ways to do that. We kind of tend to stay in our lane a lot, with, I say stay in our lane, but it's a good lane to be in, is getting our reps out here, trying to see if a tour van's coming through, those kind of things. We did actually, on the golf side, we did a ladies only demo day. And, that was massively successful. The women loved that we were paying attention to them. And B, they loved that it was just them out there, because, women didn't feel as comfortable being part of the general demo day we had. Again, don't need great facilities for that. So I think it's just committing to it. And then, yes, of course, doing it with what's within your means on your facility, but also using vendors and partners. You don't have to do it all yourself. That's for sure.
Thank you. Looks like Peter has a question. Go ahead, Peter.
Hey, Mike. You obviously have a huge operation. So talk to me about the structure of your meetings with planning all of this. Are you doing it on a quarterly basis? Are you doing it mainly in the off season? Are your meetings are you incorporating everybody in it? Do you like to do like meetings that are only lasting an hour? Tell me about the structure of how you are communicating all of this to all the staff members.
Okay. Yeah. And it's changed. When I first got involved in this club, and quite frankly, other clubs, I was very intimately involved. And, a lot of times it would probably start at the department head level, again, because we're not an equity club. So we're not owned by the members, where I've got committees and that kind of stuff. And so my department heads and I, in our weekly meeting, which involved my director of grounds, my director of golf, my chef, and we would brainstorm the ideas and figure out, okay, where are the holes that we need to fill in to get members involved, and then from there, it would be then, okay, is this a golf event? Is this a food and beverage event? Is this going to be something that fitness is going to take the lead on? And then they would go back and they would work with their team to develop those ideas. I would probably sit in on those meetings, to make sure that they were kind of going on the right path, so to speak, and obviously support them, if they needed decisions on the financial side, so they didn't get sideways on that. But so I guess the short answer is I was intimately involved in kind of kickstarting that. But now that the engine's really rolling, I don't sit in on many of those meetings that are specific to each event, except for maybe the big holiday ones. The big four, kind of the Halloween, the Easter, the 4th of July, and those kind of things. I'm definitely sitting in, but again, more just to support them because they've really kind of taken the ball and run with it, and they understand kind of the premise. They understand the boundaries to work within. I created a P&L for each event, so they know kind of, I don't want them to be hindered by that, but I want to make sure they understand there's a little bit of a framework. Then to answer your question on kind of how everything kind of rolls out, the short of it is yes. The goal is as much in the off season as possible. And, right now, obviously our fireworks are booked for the summertime. Our junior golf calendar is already laid out. The camps that are being promoted last week, or no, 2 weeks ago, all camps have been promoted. When I started here, they didn't send camp information out until April. By that time, most of the parents' schedules are already set for the summer. The kids' schedules are set, so we're kind of missing the boat. So I guess, yeah, and we've got a master calendar, and we usually start that process in August, September, and we really get into it October, November for the upcoming year. And that's involved where, again, we've got director grounds, I'm sorry, not director grounds, he gives us key aerification dates, director of golf, fitness director, we're all in that meeting and making sure that we don't compete with each other. That's another thing with a big club like this. You got to make sure that, I'm not hosting a big pickleball event the same day as the invitational, that kind of stuff. So there's this coordination of that. But that definitely, you really got to start that back in August, September, which is hard because we're still in season, but you're just kind of getting the framework laid out. And then you really dial it in by October, November for the upcoming year. And then after that, I've got one person that sort of manages that calendar. And again, I've been fortunate enough to hire in the last couple of years an assistant general manager. And so she managed that calendar and kind of works with all department heads to make sure that there's, again, no conflict and changes, or if there's changes, that gets baked into the master calendar. But yeah, so the short of it is a lot of planning. Once you kind of get that system down, once you get that cadence down, once everybody understands what the goals and premise are, what the structure is, then they can kind of roll with it within this kind of oversight and guidance really is what my role is now from that standpoint.
So just to follow up on that, like I was in a different seminar, we were talking about, events, those kinds of things. And sometimes members, and I know you're privately owned, so you have the decision-making process, but do you feel like sometimes there's almost too much on that calendar, or you want to add something, but do you then take something away? Are you trying to keep it as consistent?
Great question. As possible? Yeah, you have to. You can't. Well, we really learned that during COVID, right? Because staffing levels were down. Hiring was really difficult, and so we actually, ironically, at that point, we pared back just because we had to. We couldn't. There's nothing worse than executing an event that doesn't, meet the standards of the club, right? So yeah, we do cycle events through. Again, we don't touch the big ones. The big ones we keep leaning into. We always get creative with new ideas. This year we're going to get some hot air balloons out here. We're not paying for it. We've got a vendor coming in. They're going to do hot air balloon rides, that kind of stuff for the members that take off from our driving range. But those we don't touch. But then like the smaller ones, you have to cycle them through. And you kind of look at your calendar and say, okay, we're going to do a steak night this month. And next month we'll do Valentine's Day, and then we'll do March Madness, that kind of stuff. There are some set ones you can't really change, but then there's ones that you can absolutely cycle through and cycle out. We did indoor putting one time. We took the whole golf shop because the merchandise was pretty much out of the shop in the middle of the winter time. And we got a whole bunch of like indoor putting greens and that kind of stuff. And we set ping pong up. So we did a ping pong and putting in the middle of the winter time. And again, we haven't done that in 5 years because we've done other things to replace that. You absolutely have to cycle events through, because otherwise, the team, you can't handle it. And back to the other thing, the member involvement. Yeah, I managed an equity club for 5 years. They're hard. They're really hard because it's definitely a very inefficient way to run an organization, right? Because you've got so much input and things have to run through committees. But the goal is hopefully is if you can get them to stay high level. What do they want? What are they looking for? Kind of what's the structure? How much money you have to work with, and then get out of your way and let you and your work with your team. So,
Okay.
I know. I know. Believe me, I say that I've been 12 years removed from that, but it's way easier said than done. I respect that it can be difficult to get them out of your way.
And just on a side, how did you get involved with the ownership role of your facility? I'm fascinated with that as somebody who wants to potentially take a step in that direction.
Yeah.
Well, what was it a relationship driven thing? Not to get off topic, we could maybe discuss later, but I'll be fascinated on that.
Yeah, I'll give you the cliff notes and then certainly get my contact info from Brian. But the short of it is, yes, I mean, definitely relationship. Relationship and timing, I would say, are key elements. I was running a club in North Carolina in addition to doing some consulting work for a company out of Jersey, and they had the individual Dave Wasenda had a relationship with the founder of my club, and that founder was looking to go through kind of estate planning. And so his son died though. And so the grandson was kind of left with the one to carry the torch. Well, they are multiply diversified. I mean, they a lot of big clubs sometimes, it's like their second, 16th business, right? It's not their primary. And so that was the situation. So I'd come up here, worked with my friend, got to know the family. And so then over a couple of 3-year period, when they really said they want to go in a different direction, I was fortunate because I had a relationship with the grandson, and he had a more visionary approach to how running business should be. As far as you got to get people involved and you got to get them engaged and you got to get them invested. And so him and I worked on what that looked like over a year or two period, and eventually came to terms with it. And I convinced my wife that we're going to move to Indiana. and it's been the best decision we've ever made as a family. And since then we've bought the rest of the family out. Because at the time the rest of the family was still involved. But like I said, since then we bought them out, and now it's just him and I. So very fortunate, but you got to have a right person that understands getting people involved and getting invested and how beneficial that can be to an organization. So, but I'll be happy to talk more about it because there's obviously a lot more steps in that process.
We'll
Thank you.
get his contact info to you, Peter. Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
questions. Any other questions? Feel free to just unmute and shout it out.
How about other ideas? Is there kind of neat specific engagement activities that anybody else has done that maybe those 12 kids that you got out there that now like 2 of them are playing more golf, or is there something that you're like, wow, this is not golf specific and I did this on the driving range, or we got food and beverage involved, because food and beverage is always fun to get involved. By the way, the hardest department to manage, okay, by far, food and beverage. I don't care where you're at. I don't care how big or how small it is always the hardest department. So don't feel bad if you're having trouble with that.
There aren't any.
Is anybody near Radley Run Country Club, by the way? Anybody near Westchester? Oh, you are? Oh, where you at?
Well, I actually worked at Radley Run as an assistant from 96 to 2001.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
So I worked
We were
under
really
John-
close then, because
yeah,
I was
worked
still a
under
member
John
at that time.
Kellogg. Then I went as head pro at Downingtown Country Club. I was up at Broad Run. So I live in the Downingtown area, obviously very familiar.
Wow.
We can discuss members like Keith Devontier and Eddie Sawa and go from there. So
Oh my gosh, no way. That's so funny. I haven't heard those names in a while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had to caddy for those guys. And then
Okay.
be really careful when I walk through the men's grill.
yes,
And Peoples, what was Peoples' first name?
Jimmy Peoples. Yeah,
Jimmy Peoples, yeah.
Yep.
Oh
I
my
know them all.
gosh. It's last in the past. It's been a while. I've been out of the
Yeah.
area for a long time. So it's not 96 since I graduated pretty much. Well, I was in Princeton, New Jersey for a couple of years out of college, and then went to the Southeast. And then 27 years later, haven't been back. My sister still lives there. In that
Yeah,
area.
they finally built the clubhouse on the correct side of the street.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, are you serious? Oh
Yeah.
my, what a horrible design that was.
Well,
It's funny you say that, because I think there's one thing that I've learned is I think I've learned as much from poorly laid out operations and bad operations as I have from good operations. You know?
So I guess it sort of leads into the next question. Obviously, you're overseeing everything. So what are things that, I guess, in a sense, that you inherited or that you see that are inefficiencies, and how do you, from an operations perspective, everything is going to be a return on investment if you're going to invest in making something more efficient. But so what is your determining factor on how to accomplish those kinds of things when you look, at your facility, or you look at past facilities that you were at, that if you had control of it, how would you do it?
Well, there's two pieces there. Efficiencies versus investments that create direct return or indirect return, right? Efficiencies, I'd have to think about that for a minute. I mean, we've done a lot here, and some of it's policy driven. It's not always investment driven. Some of it is definitely investment driven, where yes, it is a better operation because of this now. You kind of catch me on the spot, but let me think about that one. But the second one's a little easier to answer, which is because it's less specific. It's more about just a general philosophy of how you approach the business. There are definitely things that we invest in that the goal is to get a direct return, and then there's investments we make that it will be indirect return. And I would say the pickleball courts would be an example of one that is an indirect return. You're just purely adding value to the membership. The $350,000 we spent on that, we're lucky because we used parking lot space that we had way too much parking for. So there you go. It's an efficiency, I guess, because it was way too much parking. And we just used that because the site was already graded and flat. That's an indirect return. It would take 40 years to get a return on the incremental income from lessons and whatnot. But then the Grove, we had this, literally up until a year ago, we had the old indoor net with the metal frame, and again, we're a $100,000 initiation fee club now. And to have that was not aligning with our club, but it was an indoor space connected to there was another room right next to it, which is an indoor putting green left over from when the facility used to be a learning facility. It was actually a public facility first, and then it converted into a private club. And so we knocked down the wall, shortened the southwest green, and then reoriented things, took a little bit of the golf shop space and put 2 indoor sims that are 18.5 feet wide. And so again, that was sort of okay, this is an amenity we need to have. Everybody's got one now, kind of thing. But actually, what started out as a value added, again, back to the dues, became a return. We've probably spent $125,000 on that setup, and that included 2 track bands. So you figure almost $50,000 is right there. So we spent $75,000 on just construction costs. We used Carl's Place for the structure and the hitting screen. Obviously the projector we bought from another vendor and whatnot. Fiber Built, we bought the hitting mats from, or the putting mat and where you hit from. And so we spent $125,000. We'll get a return on that. That'll break even in 2 years. And we're charging them $20. We started at 15 per half an hour per bay. Now we're $20 per half an hour. And I don't care if you put one person in there or 8 people in each bay. But in the end, it'll have a return on investment, direct return on investment in less than 2 years, which is pretty cool. And then that doesn't include incremental income from food and beverage and lessons and, like I said, merchandise sales, because people are in here like, oh, I'm going to Florida next week. I need to grab some balls. So that's definitely been a huge step forward. But we got a bar in there. We've got a little clicker, so you ring the bell and it rings the host stand, so they can run food down and whatnot. So we had a nice little service that is really easy. It didn't cost us obviously a whole lot to do that. So I would say that those two are definitely big ones for us in the Midwest here. Believe it or not, converting our South driving range tee, we took about a third of it and we converted it to Bermuda grass. And we know about every 5 years it'll die. But because we're right on the border where you can grow Bermuda grass, but it's way cheaper than bent and it rejuvenates so quick in the summertime. With 1,400 memberships, even though we got a huge driving range, we could not keep up with bent grass. It would just be decimated by mid-July. So having that Bermuda grass was a nice conversion, and it wasn't that expensive to do. The deal we got to deal with is every 5 years, we got to spend about $5,000 to resod it or resprig it if it dies, because this is one of those winters I'm a little nervous about because it's been super cold. But we got enough bent grass, we can deal with it. And the cost savings and the benefit of having that turf rejuvenate so much quicker was a no-brainer for us. So I don't know, two quick examples, I guess.
Thank you.
Probably have time for 1 or 2 more questions if there are any. And if not, Mike, I'll ask. I'm just curious if you could talk about how long the child care program's been around at the club, and how many employees you have as a part of that, because that seems like it could be a huge win.
Yeah, definitely. And so it's actually was created by my assistant general manager who was here. She worked in childcare, or she worked in the fitness center, and then she continued to develop programming. Childcare eventually. The childcare was built in to the new facility when it was expanded. And it's not a huge room, but it's got 2 rooms. You have to put a restroom in there. You have those like little toilets and whatnot that are kind of funny for the little kids. But anyway, so she created that program and then she left. And then I hired her back about 6 years ago. But she created that really the program around it, because you can have a shell and a facility that's great, but it's the programming around it, the activities, the arts and crafts, the things that are being done by the attendants in there, and then we do things like on big event nights we'll have extended hours. We cross promote it, and I've done it in smaller facilities where it doesn't have to be a designated childcare area. You can start out with just making it activity based, like that one example I had where you have Valentine's Day, which we had last Friday, and we had 30 kids in our ballroom. No, I'm sorry, that one was done a different way. That was done in the group fitness room. So we kept everyone fitness and they could run around. We had a coordinator over there doing activities and whatnot. But you don't have to have a designated facility. You can do it in, the golf shop if you want to. You can do it in the ballroom. You can do it in an open meeting room or whatnot. But obviously you have to have the person to do the activities and create the programming. 3 weeks ago, we did a dance party for the kids. And so all the kids were in the ballroom dancing and all the parents were in the bar drinking. So, which was nice, and they paid us like $25 a kid. And so we broke even. Actually, I think we made a few bucks on that one from the kids. And of course, we obviously made money on the food and beverage side that night because it was a full night. So yeah, you can tiptoe into it. You cross promote, like maybe a ladies event or a couples event. That's where it's more popular. And then we will we'll have childcare available. We do, some of our young professionals. So we have some events for them that are free events, and, we'll go out on the putting green, we'll do a little clinic. Of course, you have alcohol out there and some hors d'oeuvres and whatnot. And then same thing, we offer at that time free childcare, again, just to get them out here. And, again, it doesn't have to be a designated facility like we have. It could just be something that you just offer as a service and just take care of them.
That sounds like a dream.
That's a little private resort in the middle of Indiana. Who would have thought?
Well, great. Well, Mike, thank you so much for doing this today. Certainly learned a lot from you, and hopefully the folks on the call take some things away and perhaps have some ideas to integrate into their club. So we appreciate your time.
No, you're welcome. Yeah, it's good meeting everybody, and thanks again. And Brian, feel free to push out my information and contact information. But happy to answer any questions or follow up, and discuss anything more in detail.
Yeah, maybe you and I can hang on, and we'll see if anybody else has any other questions. But thank you all for being here.
Yep, great. Y'all have a good day and stay warm, and hopefully season's not too far away.
And just 6 more months till the Colts get started.